Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the Advanced Vape channel. Today we're not doing a review of any products. We're going to talk about cleaning your coils and making your coils and wicks last for as long as possible. It's something that I get asked a whole lot, and I've been talking about doing this video for a while. So right now, while I'm waiting for more stuff to come in for me to review, I feel that it would be a good time to talk about that. Before we do that, though, I'm going to talk about the new mod that I have for the channel. I'm really happy with this. I think it looks great. It's a DNA 250, and I figured it's about time to retire the Triad. The paint is so messed up on this, and people comment about it a lot, so I figured it was time to make something nice for the channel. And I wanted to give a big shout out to Jeff at Vodka Vapes for helping me with this etch. He did the etch, and I did the build of the mod. But a really awesome etch on there. So anyway, I'm going to be cleaning, and I'm not going to do the rewick, but I'll get up to the point that you rewick for two different things. And I'm going to be honest, I have no idea what these look like inside. I didn't check before filming. These are just the ones that I've been using. So this one is probably maybe 2 weeks since the last time I changed it. And the other one is the Aromizer Plus, and it probably has maybe a month or two since I changed it. I've only rewicked it once since I did the review on this, and it's the same build that I had in that review. And I'm not positive, but that was something like 3-4 months ago. So the wicks on this have been lasting a really long time. But it's about time. I can tell that I need to change it. It doesn't taste burnt or anything, but I notice a definite drop in the wick speed as the cotton gets older. So we're going to do both of them, and I'll start with the reload. I'll go on and take it apart, and we'll see what it looks like. So that's not too bad for a week or two. That's pretty much close to the color of the juice that I've been using, and there's not a whole lot of kind of gunk on the coils. There's a little bit, but if you've seen pictures on Instagram, you know that it can be way worse than that. And the juice that I've been using in here is pretty sweet, so typically it gunks up coils pretty badly, but I honestly don't really have an issue with that. I never have like a bunch of black stuff on the coils. That just doesn't happen to me, and I'll talk a little bit later about maybe why I think that is, and hopefully help you guys make the wicks last longer. I know that I get a lot of emails from people that have to rewick every day, and for me that's just not my experience. So I don't know, there's a couple reasons why I think that might be, and I'll talk about that later. So your first step obviously is going to be to take out the old cotton. And I'm obviously doing this with stainless steel wire, and that's sort of where my focus is, but this will work on any wire type. In particular, though, it works very well for stainless steel. So just a little bit of where you can see it's been heating the coil over. Sorry, the coil has been heating the wick over and over again, but it's not burnt. And like I said, that's maybe a week or two. And that one looks okay. So the very first step, and this is really important, you want to fire it just a little bit, but not very much at all, just to try and burn off just a little bit of that juice. But you don't want that to get hot, just enough to get rid of some of that juice. Start to dry out just a little bit. Okay, so that's about as far as you want to go with that. And the reason for that is, and I'm sure that the macro lens is going to be horrible on this, although I can't really see it in person. Sorry about that. I think when I was doing that, some of the juice hit the lens of the camera, so I had to clean it. Anyway, what tends to happen for me is little itty-bitty tiny cotton fibers will get stuck in the wrap, and this is a bigger issue for Claptons and all of those variants. So Aliens, Staples, all of that stuff that has tiny wire wrapped around it. There's just so many little nooks and crannies for cotton to get stuck in. But it's really super important for the life of your coils to get as many of those as you can out. And I'm sure that the macro lens on this is going to make me look like I didn't get them all. You know, there's going to be a couple that I just couldn't see in person. And that's okay. You don't have to be crazy about it. Just try and get everything out that you can. And you know, it's okay if there's still one or two. If you really just can't get them all, you're going to wash the coils off. But you want to try and get them all. You don't want a ton of cotton on there that's just getting burned and kind of sticking to the coil burned. So I'm going to kind of sit there for a second. And what I usually do is hold it up to the light or have a light behind me and like a dark surface so I can see them sticking out. I can see right now that there's one in the inner kind of the barrel of the coil on this side. So I'm just going to kind of sit here for a couple minutes and try and get all those out of there. Okay, so I just spent a couple minutes just working on it and using these kind of fine tip tweezers to get all of them out that I could. I'm sure that there's still a couple stuck in there that I just couldn't see, that it can be very hard to see them. And if you have them stuck down in the barrel, it really helps to put the tweezers down and go like that, and it'll pull it out. That's why we did that really tiny burn, just to get some of the juice off so it's not soaking wet. It makes it much easier to pull that cotton off if the cotton is dry. So from this point, you may still have a couple little bits of cotton hidden in there. So you don't want to just dry fire it and put the wick directly back in there. You want to wash it off first, and that is more important if the coils are really gunked up. You have to wash them off. And if that's the case, I would wash it to get the cotton off, and if it's still looking bad, do a dry fire to turn that gunk to ash and wash it off again. That's not really a situation that I need to do on this one because it's really not that gunked up. So I'm ready to wash it off now, and what I do is just run it under the tap. If I feel like it's really dirty, I'll use a little bit of soap or even a little bit of rubbing alcohol. Just pour it on there and kind of rubbed with my fingers until it's clean. But it's really, really super important if you use soap of any kind or alcohol, either let the alcohol completely evaporate and wash it off, or if you're using soap, run it under the water for 2 or 3 minutes. You want to be absolutely positive that there's no soap left on the coils, and that can be a little bit hard with the complicated coils where there's lots of little nooks and crannies. You really don't want there to be soap on there when you go to vape it later. So I'm probably not going to use soap on this. I'll probably just use water, but I'll check it out when I get to the sink and kind of decide then. So I'm going to wash this off. Okay, so I held it under the tap for probably 2 or 3 minutes. And I feel like it's pretty clean, and now I just need to do a really light dry fire. It's really important that you don't fire it super hard. There's just no reason to. You've already dry fired it. The only difference is that you're just cleaning it, so you don't need to go through that dry fire process again. What you're really doing is burning off the water and just double checking that they're glowing okay, just in case the cotton moved the coil around or anything, but there's really no reason to glow it bright. So I'm just going to lightly pulse it and burn off the water. And see, I kind of got a hot spot there from messing around with it. Okay, and that's really all it needs. There's no more water on there if it's glowing, so, and I could see that there's no more hot spots. So from here you are ready to rewick it and use it as if it was a fresh build. So now I'm going to move on to the Aromizer Plus, and I'm kind of hoping that that one will be a little bit more gunked up. That one is at least a month on that wick, probably a little bit more. And I have no idea what this looks like. That's not bad. And I've been using a juice in this that's like absolutely notorious for gunking up coils, and they really don't look gunked up at all. So, like I said, this is the same build from when I did the review of this, and that was probably 3 or 4 months ago. And it's gotten regular usage since then. If you can see, I'm kind of gentle getting the cotton out. I don't want to force it out. So from here, it's just the exact same process. Take the little cotton fibers out after you do just a little tiny pulse. And now there's tons of little cotton bits. So you just take a few minutes and get them out of there. Okay, so now these are washed and ready to do the pulse on. I'm just doing light pulses. And really you want it to stop hissing. That means there's not water in there anymore. Okay, and now it's ready to wick and use like it was a fresh build. So I'm gonna wick one of these super quick, and then I'll talk for a minute about how I think is the best way to get the longest life out of your coils. Okay, so I've rewicked this, and it's performing pretty much exactly how it did when I first did the build for the review. And I'm just going to talk for a couple minutes about how to make your coils last longer, and what I think is causing people to have to rewick every day or every other day. So to me, I can easily get 6 months out of a pair of coils just by being gentle with them, gentle in the dry fire, and really taking my time on the rewick. If you take your time on it, you won't have to do it so frequently. If you just take the time to do it slowly and do it well, you won't have to do it as often. So there's that, and then there's kind of actual build technique and the way that you vape that makes a difference in my mind. All of this is sort of, I'm not saying this is the best way to wick or the best way to do any of this. Is just how I do it personally and how works best for me and what I've found to last the longest and perform the best for me personally. So when I'm building, I don't ever put the cotton really tight into the coils. If you put it really tightly in there, then juice is not flowing as evenly or as easily to the coils, so you're more likely to burn the cotton if it's super tight in there. If it's nice and loose, the juice flows easily and the cotton stays wet, and if it stays wet constantly, then it's not going to burn. There's always going to be juice there to cool the coil down. And when it comes to actually vaping, there's kind of a little thing that I do, and I know that some other people do it too, but most people don't. It comes down to how you're breathing, and for me, it makes a big difference on making the wicks last longer. So I'm going to try and do this next to the microphone so you can hear the difference. What I'm essentially doing is, I'm vaping on it, holding the button down, and I continue to breathe through it just for a half step after I let go of the button. And I'll see if you can tell the difference between doing it and not doing it. So this first one is going to be me just vaping normally and letting go of the button like immediately when I stop breathing through it. I don't know if you can hear that, but the juice continues to sizzle as the coil cools down. And every time that you do that, it's just sitting there with no airflow, the coils being really hot and just frying juice with no air to pull the juice off and to cool the coil down. So what I do is to let go of the button just a half a second, before I stop breathing through it. And because I'm breathing through it with no power being applied, it cools down the coil, and it really doesn't affect the flavor, anything like that. You're just getting the last bit of the juice that's coming off of the coils, and it helps to cool the coils down instantly. And to me, that makes a really huge difference in preventing it from frying the juice and gunking it up. So now I'll do it where how I normally do it, where I continue to breathe for just a half second after letting go of the button. So once again, I don't know if you could hear that, but there's no sizzle there. Me continuing to breathe through it just for a second just instantly cooled down the coils, and to me that's probably the biggest thing that keeps the wicks from getting really messed up. So I think that the sort of combination of all of those things makes the wicks last longer and makes the coils themselves last longer. Hopefully that's helpful to some people, and like I said, that's just the way that I do it. I'm not saying that it's the best way or the only way to clean coils, but for me it works really well, and I'm able to get months out of coils. I basically just leave them in there until there's a different build that I want to try. I don't ever really have the issue where I need to change it because they're not working as well. So I think that'll bring us to the end of this video about rewicking. If you like this video on our channel, give us a like and subscribe. And as always, if you have any questions, leave them below in the comments or send me an email. Thanks.